Hello, everyone, and welcome to this discussion on inquiry in the early years presented by Teashares. My name is Kari Lanham, and I'm excited to spend these first 10 minutes with you sharing about my experience and then give the discussion to you. I've been teaching for more than 10 years now, and most of that time was spent with students age 3 to 6. So this is a bit about my experience and growth as a teacher and using inquiry in the classroom. So I'd like to get more specific about what you want out of this time. I'm kind of curious if you want to talk more about how to design your unit with more inquiry or teaching strategies. I'm not going to focus on that, but I don't want that to deter you from talking about that afterwards. For me, how I've developed it is inquiry in the classroom is students engaging in their passions, working on their skills, and answering their own questions. That was really flipped on the head for me after listening to a speaker talk about student agency and more student-driven inquiry. And I asked her, my colleagues and I, we said, hey, we've got these great units, the students ask great questions, but we are exhausted. It's me and 24 kids. They can't write down their questions yet, so I'm recording their questions. I'm finding the books and the videos. I'm helping to find the resources to answer their questions. And I mean, she looked at us and she goes, well, that's not student-driven inquiry. If the kids can't answer their own questions, you might be leading them in the wrong direction. And so that really helped us to think about our units and the content that we steer them towards to make sure that they are starting to ask questions that they can actually discover. So I have my curriculum and the content that is expected by the district or by my principal, but what I've found, there is a time and a place for that, but the real genuine inquiry happens through self-directed play. So I developed the inquiry attitude of these little learners through a HighScope model, and that's 70 minutes of uninterrupted play. So it starts with a 5-minute plan, 55 minutes of play, and then a 15-minute review time when I can kind of focus on building vocabulary, retelling skills, conflict management, and it's really a time to develop your classroom culture. This time is often messy and chaotic, and people walk by and go, oh my gosh, it's so loud in here, or it looks like chaos. And I'm like, okay, but focus in on the students. Focus in on it, or go ask one. You can go ask them, what's your plan today? And they can tell you, they can justify it. And the more that they depend on the 70 minutes every single day, the more elaborate their plans get, the more that they confer with each other. What are you doing today? That sounds fun. Can I join? Can I help with you? And so that's one thing, is if they can depend on that time when they get to do what they like, and then when they come to me and they ask, Ms. Lanham, can we do this? Can I do that? I say yes more than I say no. Something I picked up from a good colleague, and it really helps develop that attitude that they are in charge and that they can follow their own inquiries. And there are so many times when I could say no. That's either going to be too messy, too loud, we don't have enough time, whatever. There are so many reasons I could say no, but I've really started to try and honor those requests and figure in some way to help them to do whatever it is that they want to inquire into. And they start coming to me with plans and justifying it, looking for that yes. And over the course of the year, they just stop asking me because they know that if they have a good plan, they've thought about the risks, that I'm most likely to say yes, and they just go and they start doing. So over the year, I see a huge growth in their maturity and their ability to ask questions, their play with each other, and their skills. Specifically, self-organization. They're in their centers organizing themselves. I need to use the long blocks today because I'm building a racetrack. Well, I want to use the broken down cardboard blocks that have those holes because then the villains can hide in the hole. And so then by the time work time starts, the whole block center comes to me and they know who's going to use what materials, how they're going to work together or work separately so they don't knock over each other's towers. The art center naturally starts to divide itself. Painters can be at this table because they're splatter, and we can't splatter on Lucy's grandma's birthday card. and so they start to think about these things. And it really just creates the culture that we are here to play together, to use this space together, and encourage each other to play in the way that they would like. Now, what does this have to do with the actual inquiry, you ask? So my role during this time is that I am looking for ways that I can add provocations to the classroom so that when they do play, they are engaging in the content or the concepts that I'm teaching about during other times of the day. So if you have a unit that's about community helpers or roles in the community, you're thinking about what can you add to the home center or the art center that will help them engage in that content. Sliding some old cookie sheets into the home center will change it from playing mom and dad and baby and 25 kittens every day to suddenly they're looking at these cookie sheets. And after a few days, they have a full functioning bakery and they're creating their own pastries. They've got the art center creating menus, separating them into categories, adding a picture clue as they sound out the word. They're creating their own currency. I have fake money, I didn't offer it. They decided that they wanted to create their own money. So now they're counting how many kids need how much money, and they're creating that. And it goes into this whole thing. So now I've got a banker, I've got a baker, you've got a server, and you've got customers. Just by one simple little provocation that all of a sudden during that play, they are inquiring into the unit that you were hoping for. So also during that time, I am not sitting behind my desk. And I think it's one of the biggest mistakes that teachers can make is that when kids are playing, that's when they get to take a break. For me, this is the most important time for me to be thinking about what provocation can I add? What question can I ask to further the students' learning? Also, I am modeling mature play. I'm modeling how to take on these roles, new skills, and I'm alongside them helping to elevate their play. So, and this was, especially at the beginning, I was very uncomfortable. I am used to lesson plans that have a target at the beginning, clearly defined learning engagement, the exact outcomes that are going to happen from that lesson. And that's not what happens when I do inquiry in this way. I add my provocation, I have my questions, I have my guesses as to what students might do with it, but I truly don't know where they're going to take it, and I'm just along for the ride, helping and supporting. It is still really uncomfortable. I still arrive in the morning every morning feeling a little nervous, like what's going to happen today? I'm not quite sure. But the genuine inquiry that happens when I support this 70 minutes of their uninterrupted time, it's truly a beautiful thing. So this is how I prefer to use inquiry. By the end of the year, I expect that my kids know that their questions matter and that I am not putting them into a box where they have all these questions and wonders, but I'm sorry, this is what the curriculum wants us to learn about, so this is where I take it. I really try and make sure that those questions are honored. We go on the discoveries that they like to go on, and then they really feel like they are in charge of their learning. So that over time, you guys won't believe this, I'm a 4th grade teacher this year. I've never taught students this old, but it's really interesting to see. So now I do the same thing. I provide my provocation, a couple of questions, and I watch the incredible things that they can do because their research skills, their communication skills, self-organizing and risk management skills are so developed that they are just busy little bees organizing themselves and off to figure out whatever it is that we're inquiring into. So for me, that's my goal. You are the first people that they experience school with. You are shaping what they think about what school is. And I just believe that developing the attitude of being an inquirer and being in charge of your learning is going to create very engaged students whose questions are not shut down, whose ideas are not shut down, that they feel valued. And if you have that type of culture in your room, if you can create that, and your school can support that over the years, imagine the type of kids that are going to become adults working in the world in the future. So my last piece of wisdom that I'd like to offer is this has really helped me is kind of joining a book club, finding a couple of colleagues that really just want to learn more or change their practice or adjust. Developmentally Appropriate Play is one of the best books that I've read when I was very stagnant. The play in my room was blah, the inquiry was blah, I was uninspired, they were uninspired. And this book really took me to the next level. I know we're all tired and exhausted and we have more work than we can possibly manage, but just taking an hour every week to read a few pages and then get together with some friends over a glass of wine, it didn't even feel like work. We were playing, right? We were inquiring into what inquiry can be, what provocations will match what units. And it was truly just a lot of fun to work with other teachers and hear what was happening in their rooms. I also added, this is the book that I'm currently working on with a colleague, Contextual Wellbeing, and it really goes into the social emotional health of our students in schools. And obviously that's going to be really important if you're going to be developing 3, 4, and 5-year-old inquirers. They're going to need to have some social emotional health. So that's what I have for you today. I look forward to your discussion. You can come at me with your views, if you agree, if you disagree, if you need something else out of this talk. Inquiry in the early years is such a huge topic, so I give it to you to share your experiences and your challenges and your expertise.
So guys, I would just encourage you to use the raise hand feature, and I will be seeing people who want to talk, and then I would just unmute you and you can share all your wisdom and thoughts or questions or whatever you have with us. And I just saw one of the questions was about the model that you were using. I don't know where it got lost.
HighScope.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Would you tell us a bit more about it? Give us some example about it.
Yeah, so HighScope is, I just typed it there, it's got the slash. It's a way to set up your classroom into centers and labels, and they get to, especially at the beginning of the year, you don't put much out, because as you bring it out, they really set up the classroom and you add the labels. So it's really their room. They know where to get the things, where to put them back. And then that plan, and then they say do review, is how they feel that kids learn best. I do see the 70 minutes question. I have had like double work time in a day, and it turns into more chaos than inquiry. I think it's just about the age that you have, and that amount of time is really important to focus on. And then other times during the day, maybe a small group or a large group lesson that's still play-based, but not necessarily their own self-directed play, is how HighScope recommends it. And I've leaned on it a lot. It's been an interesting way to do it.
Yeah, great. We have Tat here who would like to add something. So thank you for breaking the ice. You know, the first one is always the lonely nut.
Yeah, I'm good at that. I was wondering if anyone could share some effective and successful ways they had supported children's play remotely, in case we will have to start the year with this model. We were pretty successful in setting up ways to explore in the house, but it was very dependent on the parents really helping the kids. So I was wondering if anyone had some good ideas.
For online learning, right?
Yes.
Exactly. So guys, if you have ideas, you can type them up. Here we have Menda. Perfect. This is going smoothly. Here we are.
Hi. So for the setup, so it doesn't depend on parents, I think focusing like a choice board to get through that process might help. So then it becomes like something that is fun and they get to do the setup themselves and check it off as they go along. So that could be an idea that you could explore.
Definitely. There were also people were also mentioning visible thinking routines in the early years. If anyone feels confident to just share 1 or 2 examples of how those work in their classroom, would be super happy to hear it, because obviously we need to play with the cards we have, and if we are doing online learning, we're not going to be able to scaffold it. Chad was also asking about, Kari, if you did it progressively. Did you scaffold it? Or did you start with the 70 minutes straight away?
I often open up 1 or 2 centers at a time to help them become familiar. And then obviously their plans at first are, I'm going to the block center and they are gone. So really it's the plan that starts to develop over time, and that's what I really start to scaffold. And then cleanup time in the beginning of the year, of course, is going to be a lot longer. So that does cut into the play. But yes, over the course of the year, they're so well organized that they can really take advantage of the full 70 minutes.
That's great. So we got 3 more people with their hands up.
This is Komal. Hi. I wanted to, add up to, how we can do play or, arrange things for the kids when we are doing remote learning. So I was just, seeing a lot of videos and a lot of reviews and articles about loose parts. What is, I guess it's like very popular amongst teachers also, as well as students also, and it really works well when you're doing it in classroom situation. But when we talk about doing it in remote learning, I guess if we can uh, give our views or explain parents how important it is for the kids to play, they can have their own set of loose parts lab or something in the house, where whenever the teacher is explaining or teaching or doing any kind of discussion with them, they can make that part, and I guess learning will happen more smoothly. Yeah, thanks.
Kari, would you like to say something? Because I heard you were really good at loose parts after some influence that you got, right?
Yeah, all loose parts are the best. And really it's about asking the kids. So if you have like a forces and motion unit, you know, you have the parents ask the kids, well, let's look around the house. Like what could be a ramp? What's gonna move in this house? And really, I mean, they're gonna need parent support, but they're gonna need to use whatever is in their house. And kids, if you give them the ownership, they will come up with the ideas that, you know, like I'm looking around going, oh gosh, what can I use? And then the 5-year-olds will, duh, that. They have such great imaginations that if we just ask and let them do, I think using the whole house as loose parts, if parents are comfortable with that, you might need to get some research behind it, present them some articles. That seems to be the best way to do the virtual learning right now.
That sounds great. Thank you, Kari. Chad, would you like to say something?
Yeah, I was wondering, how did maybe what you learned through the free play, how did that end up affecting the way you did the rest of your day? Did you see yourself bringing in aspects of inquiry that you learned in that setting into your other settings?
Yeah, great question. Absolutely. And we've had some discussion. It's usually it's up to our principal when we get those 70 minutes of uninterrupted time. So it's sometimes at the end. We've seen some incredible stuff when it's right in the morning, because that's when they're freshest and ready. But yeah, it's when they start learning this way, they are less likely to want to sit for like a direct lesson. So you got to kind of bring that play into your large group meeting, your small group meeting. They expect it. So it does make you be a little more creative.
Absolutely. So we've got also Jimena around, who'd like to say something.
Yes. Hi, thank you. I'm Jimena from Peru, and I just wanted to mention some things about playing, which is something that I loved listening to, how they had these centers and play centers at home. I used to do the same thing, not anymore, because in Peru, we're remote learning. And I really struggled with how I could keep up with, the play aspect of it, because it's just so important in the early years. I teach kindergarten. And one of the things that has worked, because I'm still looking for, making inquiry work, was having them dress up. Like, for example, we're doing community helpers, and, as a way sorry, as a way of having them, come up with the ideas with different types of community helpers, et cetera. And obviously not me, hand feeding it to them through a computer because it's a lot harder remotely. They dress up as community helpers and it's a way of them playing, quote unquote, at home. And it, when they see each other through the screen, it promotes questions, and it's a sort of like inquiry through a computer screen, which is something I'm really having a hard time with. But I just wanted to share that because it really worked. And then it also worked with my family unit. They dressed up as a different family member, and it just provoked a lot of questions and ideas and play that way. So yeah, thanks.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Jimena. That's inspirational, and I'm sure we could apply it to many realities, to different realities. Even my second graders, I think they won't skip that part this year before we
right.
That's great. So, Menda, would you like to say something?
Yeah, sorry. So I just wanted to follow up on the choice board part because I saw a question about it. So I know that most of us have advocated for a designated space in the home when we're doing virtual classrooms. So I think for the younger ones, it's super important to get that out to parents. Like, you have to have that space where kids know this is where we go to do this, so that they can do with that space what they would like. And I think your panelist said earlier about how they can choose things they have at home. So the choice board is not going to be fed to them. That means that we have to have a discussion about what do we have at home and what can we use during this time, so that they can use that to set up the space they have. It makes it easier for them to go there and be productive, and then go with the kinds of concepts and proposals that we make. So insisting with parents on having that special space, having the kids own that space, and then contributing to the choice board that helps them set it up will be great for them. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Elaine?
Hi everyone. I've just finished the gym. That's why I've got my camera off, so excuse me for that. But I just wanted to share something. Now, what was it? Something that you guys talked about earlier when, Kari, thank you for sharing. It was really, I was the one that said, come work at my school. I would love to have you because those ideas are fabulous. One question I did have was what happens to the kids the rest of the day? Because in the school that I'm working at, I'm trying to encourage uninterrupted play all day. And the kids are only there for part of the day. And I've worked in schools where the children have all day play. In doing so, I found, it's the amount of inquiry that happens is incredible. I talked a little bit about, in the last chat, about being the facilitator in the room and observer in the room. And you nicely elaborated on that as well, of how you can actually see so much of what the questions the children are asking and the way they're going about solving the problems while they are playing. And one point that I typed into the chat as well was to, when children come to you and saying, and you say yes, that yes attitude is fabulous, because one of the things I typed in was to kind of help them elaborate on their requests. So, when they come and ask for something, one of the things that I often do is to ask them what that might look like, because sometimes they're asking for big things that are probably not possible, or it sounds really massive and messy. But if I can help them to think through what that might look like, so that it's actually, they approach it in a manageable way, and also help them think through, well, what problems might occur in that situation, who might you need to watch out for, what else is happening in the room so that they don't disturb others, and things like that. Another strategy for that, for those listening, I use is the ABCDE strategy as well. So when they come up with a question or ask to do something, if I see a potential teachable moment in that, or it's a moment where it can be also a little mini inquiry, the A is ask the question. So I already approach them with, wow, I love your question. This is a really great idea and a great inquiry you can go into. How can you go about it? That's the B, the brainstorm part. So then they'll be thinking through parts what do I need? What tools do I need? What space do I need? Who can help me? And then the C is the choose part. So choose what do you want to do first? What do you have to do after that? What parts do you need to do it with? And then the D is to do. So I just let them go ahead and do it. And then you mentioned as well something about reviewing afterwards. And that review part is the E, the evaluate. So make sure we go back to it to help them think through, well, what worked and what didn't work. And before you know it, you have this mini inquiry thing that happened and you have a great learning story. So I just wanted to share some of those things as well with you. And then one last thing was the dress ups. I try to stay away from the commercial dress-up clothes. They're great as well, not to discard them completely. But if you put some loose parts in the classroom, some loose bits of material, fabric, hats, oversized clothes, and have them create the things out of their own imagination, instead of giving them like, oh, this is the doctor uniform, and this is the police outfit, and this is the baker outfit, but to have them just take the material and create their own things. And they can be, that just expands a little bit more about who they want to be while they're playing open-endedly. So yeah, just wanted to share those thoughts with you all. Thank you. And thanks, Kari. I love just your talk.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. A, B, C, D, E. We'll keep that in mind.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes. Very easy to think through, and as long as you know where you are in that process, it really helps.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We had Vansa who wanted to add something too.
Hi. Actually, I'm a specialist here. I have some questions. I mean, there's such a lot of ideas about play being incorporated, but how can you help out with the situation of stations in a music classroom where the room is going to be shared with a lot of classes? I mean, if there's only one classroom, and how can we incorporate that?
That is a great question. Kari, do you have any thoughts for us?
In a music classroom, I mean, I immediately start thinking of music and the arts and having like a theater section and just kind of trying to divide it up that way. But you also say it's a shared space. So I think that's going to be difficult. I'm hoping, are there other music teachers in the chat that can really speak to that?
Okay, thank you.
No, I have a question.
Question, all right.
I am not a specialist on this, but I was interested to find out how to balance, or is it a question of balance? Maybe not. It's a controversial topic. Structured and unstructured play. Like, what's your? I'm looking for. I guess it's not a debate, but I'm looking for ideas of. Is it really about structure and unstructured play, or is it more about situational, like maybe responding to the student? I don't know. I'm inquiring a bit more into this.
So Kari, what do you think?
It's funny. It's actually one of the deep questions that I sent you, is the balance between guided inquiry and not. And I often I read the room also. Every group that I get is different, and some of them need a little more structure in the beginning. But the goal by the end of the year is still the same. Yeah, it is. I like how you said it is like a balance, but I really want them to get the idea that they are in charge and that they can direct the learning.
And it's interesting also to talk about differentiation within the same class. Like, some of them might be ready for another kind of play, and others really need that structure to stick to. So stations might work very well, and you might want to group kids who can help each other to, you know, to improve in terms of self-regulation. Some of them might be really good at that, and some of them might be really bad at that at the same point of time.
Still working on it. But other people, if you want to jump in with your ideas about how you do guided or open inquiry and how you balance it, we'd love to hear from you.
Hi, is my hand still up? Oh, I see. I didn't lower it, but I can definitely talk to that too. So unstructured and structured play. Well, unstructured play is basically what we've been talking about most of the time, just allowing children to really explore. Structured play for me becomes a little bit more, especially when children come with those ideas, like I explained, the ABCDE strategy. When I see a little teachable moment, then I become a little bit more of a guide to that play. So they are definitely agentic in that process, but in that process as well, I'm still guiding them with their ideas. If the children will often come back to me to double check, is this okay or is that okay? What can we do next? Or I go and see and observe and stand close by, or I'm close in that space, in that proximity, to observe them, and then I can help with tips or something as they're playing. And that might be then, of course, in my mind, I'll have the curriculum. What outcomes am I looking for in math? What outcomes am I looking for in language, social studies, science, and see where does any of those outcomes fit? And then, in a playful way, I can offer them a provocation that will help me reach that outcome, even though they might not know that I'm focusing on that, but because it's for them, it's just a natural play situation. I think it's like when you think about a test, you want them to be not knowing that they're having a test, they're just playing, but at the same time, I'm looking at them through an assessment lens as well. Or I know a child who is, struggling in a certain area, through their play, I'm looking at that opportunity. Oh, I can see him now playing with those blocks. I know he has a bit of spatial awareness difficulties. Let's see if I can offer him some ideas or some ways around, having him interact with spatial settings or manipulating space. Things like that will help, and that for me becomes more of a guided and structured. And then of course you can always bring them back when you come into your plenary sessions or your reflection sessions. I like to have a board in my room that highlights some of the things that they've done. So that's where your documentation comes into play. And you can guide them to come back and have a look. Always have photos printed out of them. I often like to have a table where I'll just print out photos and put clear foil on the top. So they go back to the table and look at some of the things that they've done. They like to revisit their activities. And as they're revisiting activities, again, you can help guide them through some of their ideas, and you can offer them ideas as well that help you get to outcomes that you want in them to achieve. So it's all under the umbrella of play, but it's kind of a dance in and out of structure and unstructure with guidance. I hope, does that kind of answer your question? It's just play, just play with them.
I like
Yeah,
the idea of
that was really well. Oh, sorry, Juan.
dancing in and out, right? Sometimes you guide them, sometimes you don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely. We've got Mila here who wanted to share something too, but before you had some bit of a background noise. Can you hear?
Hi. Yes, hi. Hello, everybody. Actually, I do have some experience with this because back before quarantine, most of the classes used to be about play, right? And how the kids enjoyed themselves with the classes. And usually what I do is like, if I'm not having fun in the class, how do I expect them to have fun and learn in the class? And translating that into this current situation in which we're far apart, playing has been found to be difficult. So one's got to be open-minded about it, and I've learned that kids still enjoy playing games even though you're far apart. So that's how you like close the distance, no? Especially because I teach English as a second language. And just the other day, I saw something very interesting that was a comic artist saying, I learned through chaos. And I bring that randomly because that's kind of what happens in class. One starts like, teacher, I'm sorry I'm late. My parents had to leave and they had to put all their ensemble about, the coronavirus things. on the mask and blah, blah, blah. And then all the kids chimed in and they talked about it. And I am currently teaching something completely unrelated to that. So I had to transform what they were saying, congratulating them on being very knowledgeable, because it was amazing the amount of facts that and how conscious they were about it, and I had to chime in and reach into that. And what else? And then until you get to that point that someone says, oh, and teacher, how do you say this in English? And you latch into that and grab it and don't let it go and let everyone get into the questions. And that's how inquiry works, right? So it's been quite an experience, and I'm very grateful for this opportunity, because I'm learning so much from each and every one of you. And all the links are fantastic, and please keep them coming. Thank you.
Awesome, Mila. Thank you so much for sharing. Is there anyone else who would like to share their experiences, ask questions, raise your hand, be courageous? Come on, you can do it. We've got Rochelle here who is saying, let me try to read it. A bit off topic. I just want to find out, how do you choose which math topics to include in your learning? Do you integrate math into your UI, or do you have some standalone math lessons? How do you manage parent expectations? As she teaches in China, 3 and 4-year-olds. Parents expect kids to know numbers from 1 to 20, all colors and 2D shapes by the end of the year, English vocabulary, of course. And I find it difficult to naturally include all these concepts into our unit of inquiry. Can someone please share their experience with similar challenges? So here we are, such a thought-provoking question. So Kari, would you like to give some thoughts, because
I'll start, but I hope someone else will join in. I saw somebody else who had an assessment question, and I think Elaine addressed it. Is that during that playtime, it is about guiding them in that direction. So if they have to know their numbers 1 through 20, what is an activity where they're going to be writing that down? If they need a shopping list, if they're going grocery shopping, they're going to naturally want to start listing out exactly what they need, just like they see mom and dad do. So it's about directing them in that direction of either shapes or counting, and putting that out during their play and asking them about it. And then having that clipboard or that camera there to capture the moment and remember exactly what happened, so that you can write it down later.
100%. Thank you so much, Kari. We've got Lubaba here who would also like to add something.
Yes, hi Joanne and everyone. It's Lubaba from Pakistan. All right. I also would want to add into something related to maths, because earlier for now I am the PYP co at Beacon House Newlands Lahore, but I've been a maths coordinator for the entire PYP for some time. So I feel that because these are times when children are already being too much on screen. So instead of using softwares for the young ones, I would suggest that it's preferable that you use manipulatives from the environment. For example, if you're doing counting, so you can ask them to go and quickly fetch maybe 4 spoons and 2 forks from the kitchen. So you will teach them vocabulary along that, and then you can ask them to do addition with the same, and they can add in the utensils and tell you that what number they get. Or maybe if you're teaching them functions and patterns, you can ask them to get their socks and just look at it, that what patterns you see there. And because these little ones really need to have some off time there as well. And one other important thing is that you can teach them the ATL, which is the self-management skill, that they have to go, but then they have to come back as well within the given time. If you give them a few seconds, maybe a minute, that they go fetch something from off the screen and then get back. So teaching them alongside the ATL skills as well. So these are just a few ways to do maths, where you can obviously maybe do 5 jumping jacks on the screen, where you have this transdisciplinary connection with PE, and then you can have the essential agreements and you talk about PSED there. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I think the idea of training the parents there is something that we all need to work on.
I know that there are a lot of early years parents that are very concerned whether or not their kid is reading at 5. So it's really important to educate yourself so that you can educate the parents that this is, I see differentiation. It is, gosh, like a spectrum of when they pick up those letters, and that it's not a big deal if they're not reading at 4 or 5 yet, or they don't know their numbers, to really take that stress off the parents and let them know that it does come in time and it's okay.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We've got Jimena here.
Just thinking about, someone mentioned how to integrate math with the unit of inquiry, and I'm also struggling a bit with that as well, but I want to share a couple of ideas that have worked for me. For example, we're doing more than and less than and equal to, and our unit is about community helpers again, and we're connecting it to needs, right? And one of them is like emotional needs. So with like more than, we're doing like, if you share, you know, like cookies or something, oh, he has more than me, and like the importance of, you know, being caring to somebody else, and you know, that's like connected in a way. And we're gonna actually do this next week, so I don't know if that's gonna work, but and then another thing we did is counting down, because the whole community helpers thing, again, we're counting down with the astronaut, because you know, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you know, take off. And so that's a couple of things that have worked. And thank you for all these great ideas. I'm like writing them down. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Elaine, we have you again with us.
Thanks. And I turned my camera on, just zipped up. I just wanted to say something to the online learning. Again, it's, I wanted to say modeling. In the classroom, we like to model as well. We try to model the behaviors we want to see. We try to model the attitudes we want to see, the learner profile we want to see, and in play situations as well. And for online learning, what I found useful and what a lot of our teachers were doing was to video record themselves in some of the actions, particularly playing with loose parts or dramatic play ideas in the garden. One particular teacher who has herself 4 children, she would use her children within the video to present to the children, to the online children throughout the day. So she would record herself playing a game with her own kids, singing a song with her own kids. I mean, if you don't have your own kids to do that with, don't worry, but still, you know, I think that modeling aspect, if you can show them what to do with some loose parts in a short video, really 3-4 minutes, and then with a little instruction on the side of what, and then a little instruction on the side of what they might want to choose or do, or things they could probably pull to do something similar. And then, you know, encourage them in that video as well to say, I'm really looking forward to see what you come up with, and upload your videos and show me. And then of course you've got that feedback. You need to go back when they upload. I don't know if you use Seesaw or Story Park or whatever. Whenever the children have uploaded videos or the parents have uploaded some of the things that the children have been doing, that you then get back to them with those, with feedback. And however small the feedback might be or big, to give them some specifics. And parents will appreciate if you can elaborate on the learning you see happening in the process of what you see them doing on their videos. So again, tapping into, you're the one who knows your curriculum, tapping into what those outcomes might be. It's a quick sentence in, I can see she is, you know, reaching the outcome of da da da. You can write to this child, but you can also write to the parent to let them know your child is definitely on the right track with the learning they're doing, because they're hitting these marks that we have set for this unit or for this year or whatever that might be. And that helps put parents at ease as well. And most of that, if you give a little 2 or 3 minute video modeling something and giving them a task to walk away with, then they're not on the screen anymore. And you just wait for that upload to happen to feedback. So you're really taking away that, you don't want the kids on the camera all day, right? You don't want them in front of the screen all day. So it's a little bit of, again, that dance between technology and trying to give them enough authentic play experiences without having to have them in front of a screen to do so.
Definitely. Thank you very much. This is so inspiring. Very, very good. This is something, my mind is just blown. You're like here with me in my living room, 200 people just inspiring me. That's something that I, you know, that just it's impossible to describe, right? So we've got here Iman. Yep, there you go.
So I just wanted to share our experience in our school, how we involved the music class with the e-learning. So what we did, the music teacher will join my meeting, and I will ask the students one by one, which song do you want? So they will choose one of the songs that we already learned at school. And it was just so nice. The parents were involved. They were singing with the kids. Each one of them were getting their musical instruments. They were dancing, the parents with the students. And it was just amazing. And also, I think it makes them release and take off their energy. And then they will be ready for the next class. They will be given more attention. And I think Mr. Niraj, the music teacher from my school, is here if he wants to add something.
All right, thank you very much. We've also got Macy here.
Yes, hi. So I teach primary 3, but the age is a bit like 7, 8, 9. So one thing I just want to share, like one thing that really worked in my class during this distance learning is that when I want them to like differentiate or identify something, for example, like, is this a verb or is this a noun? So I actually gave them like movements that they can do. So if it's a verb, then you can like do like a motion of a dab or something like that, you know, make it interesting, something that they are interested about, like do a dab. Or if it's a verb, then do a wacky face or a funny face. So when I like actually like put pictures in front of them using like Google Slide or like PowerPoint, they actually like stand up and, you know, do wacky poses and faces. So I think really involving movement during the class, during this distance learning, is a really good thing for them, since they're all like sitting down and, you know, in front of the screen. So I think it really gives that movement that they are lacking, since they cannot go out, cannot meet their friends, cannot play. So yeah, it's just something I want to share. So
awesome, thank you very much. It's really good to create that language, right? We've got also Laura here, would like to share something. And guys, I think we are over 50 minutes already, but it's just going really well and we're enjoying it. So let's keep it going.
Hi, I hope you can hear me.
We can.
Yay. So sorry, I'm kind of new to this. So I'm British curriculum, so I'm not IB, but I'm really interested in IB. I'm trying to implement all of like the inquiry stuff in our department. We have a very large department in Dubai. And I just wanted to share in terms of parents. So I'm lucky to have an amazing multicultural class, and lots of the parents come from different curriculums and they're not familiar with how I teach the play-based, child-led learning, loose parts. So I found with that is just communication is key, sharing with them different ideas of how they can do it at home. And I've done like webinars on Microsoft Teams and things like that. And they're really appreciative, because a lot of them are like, why aren't we doing the alphabet? Or when are they learning vowels? Or like, they don't quite have that understanding because they're not teachers, right? So they can't like understand it like we understand it. So I think the giving them the play-based ideas, talking to them about kind of an unfamiliar curriculum can be really, really helpful. Yeah, and with the less screen time, so we just do quick inputs on Microsoft Teams, and then we just send loads of play-based activities that the children do at home. Then the children post pictures of their activities and we give feedback, and the children have kind of taken ownership as well on Microsoft Teams of posting their pictures, replying, using the keyboard and stuff like that with kind of the technology aspect. Yeah, that's all I was going to say.
I like that, and especially keeping the parents informed that instead of the benchmark of they have to know, you know, their numbers to 20 or these colors, to have the spectrum of this is where your kid is at and this is the next step, this is where we're going to go, so that they're not judging it on that benchmark. It's this is a learning journey of growth.